I got a pro tip for anybody out there looking to start their own authority, and we're going to do a walkthrough on updating your insurance information with Amazon, so hopefully you don't end up at this screen. Let's get after it. Now, by virtue of the fact of me calling this a pro tip, that implies that I'm a pro. I'm far from it. What I am somebody who incessantly looks at my own processes, my own steps, my own missteps, and tries to either get better or find out ways that I messed up on that I would correct and I would do different today. Here's where I would start. When I started this thing, I'm one of those people who I started this trucking business 100% on my own. I didn't employ any services. All these little steps that I learned how to do, I did completely on my own. I wanted to know how to do them. I mean, I saw it as it's just a necessary piece to the puzzle of having a successful trucking business. With all the information coming at me when I first started, like IFTA, commercial insurance, UCR, all this stuff, when it came time to get my insurance policies, you need your general liability and you need your commercial auto liability. Now, my cargo insurance is built into that second one, but when it came time to do them, I made a mistake. And what I did is I found the general liability first, and I went ahead and started that policy. I started that back on March 1st, 2022. I then started shopping around, kind of looking for that commercial auto policy cargo insurance, and I found it, but I didn't find it for like 7 weeks later until April 22nd, 2022. The problem there, the mistake I made, is those two policies were then staggered, and they remained staggered then forever. The general always renewed on March 1st, commercial auto always renewed on April 22nd. And the problem there being, when it comes time for each of them to renew, and this doesn't matter if you're not working for Amazon or if you are working for Amazon, but the problem is you're required to get your certificates of insurance, your COIs, to whichever brokers, Amazon, whoever you're choosing to work for, you need to do that. Well, by having them staggered like that, I had to go through that process basically twice a year. I mean, it's not a difficult process, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to get that new information out to everybody. And so by staggering those two policies, I was creating double the work. Rather than only having to do that once a year, I was now having to do it twice a year. So the tip I have for you is, if you're just starting out, if you're getting, if you haven't made your authority go active yet, you're getting everything all squared away, be sure you have those two policies start on the same day. It's one of those, at the time I didn't think much of it, but it was staggered in year one. When it renewed in year two, still staggered, had to go through the process. And finally here, starting year three is kind of like the year I kind of bit the bullet and was like, man, I need to correct this. Not to worry if you make that same mistake. Here's how I corrected it. So we're 2024 now, the general just renewed on March 1st. I went ahead and paid for a policy with the intention of canceling it on or around April 22nd. So there was a little fee for that. There was a little, it was a little bit involved, but I was able to cancel that second policy and then now start another general liability policy that starts and coincides with the exact same date. So now I have both policies ending and renewing on April 22nd. Now I only have to go through the process once, but if you're starting out, be sure that both of those policies, got Lou walking by, be sure that both of those policies are starting and stopping on the same date and save yourself some time. All right, let's do that walkthrough to avoid showing up at this screen. It happened to me last year. It's a mistake. It's one of those things. It's a mistake I only want to make once. So let's do this. Let's go in here to your left-hand side. I do most of this from the phone. I'm sure the same processes work on like a desktop or a tablet or something like that, but you want to go into your carrier account. You want to go down to documents, and usually for me it always defaults to insurance. And here is where you can see that it says my cargo insurance expires on April 22nd. I also need to update my general liability. Even though I'm good on that one, I got a different policy that coincides so that the dates match, basically. Got Lou walking by, so he's part of the show. Let's see here. So let's go into cargo insurance, and let's do... Some of this stuff is staying the same, even if your information is staying the same. I've had some questions from people like, hey, all my information staying the same. Do I still need to update it? You absolutely do. So let's just be sure. Let's go through these and be sure that everything is in here correctly. It's asking for insurance company name, agent email address, phone number, and policy number. Fortunately for me now, moving forward, I have the same policy number for commercial auto and for general liability. So this should be easy for me. I need to go in and do the same thing to my general. Let's change this. This policy number is changing. We noticed your details for cargo and auto are the same. You can still proceed, however, incorrect information can cause delays in processing your application. They are both the same. I appreciate them for letting me know, but that is the same. Auto liability, that information is staying the same. I need to take out this last number, and then general liability, I just need to add that new policy number. It makes it super easy having, I didn't even know this was a possibility, but I have the same insurance now for my general as well as my auto policy. So that makes this process real simple. So I'm be sure I nailed all of these. Everything looks good. And hit save. Your insurance has been submitted successfully. Please wait up to 2 business days for your request to process. So that's the walkthrough. Now, one improvement Amazon has made in the last year to their processes, they now offer an office hour. Once you're signed up with them and you have like an active account with them, you're gonna get emails regarding this office hour. It's something that they do through Chime. It's twice a week. It's on Wednesdays and Sundays. It starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time. But you'll get an email with a meeting code. If you're not familiar with what Chime is, I've made a prior video on explaining, like, it's actually a very valuable resource for carriers such as myself to kind of have and be involved with. But this is one of those things. They're going to send you a meeting ID. You join that Chime group, and I did this like 7 weeks ago when my general liability policy came for renewal. I wanted to be sure that they had the information. Last year at this time, they weren't offering this office hour, or I just didn't know about it. But what happened is not to rehash old stuff, but I had updated all my stuff. I did it all properly, and I ended up at that screen still because there was no way for me to verify, in fact, that like Amazon had the right information. They told me they did, and then after the fact, they're like, oh, we need to check one more thing. And I had loads booked. They ended up rejecting those loads and counting those loads against my score. It was the last time my score was not at 100% was 1 year ago. So there's that. If one thing you're gonna need in that meeting is your SCAC, your SCAC number. If you're not familiar with where to find that, you can go in here to your left-hand side, you go down to carrier account, and you go to company profile. And under company profile, right there, under carrier identifier, that little 5-digit, mine's all alpha, it might be alphanumeric, I don't know, but that little number is, or the series of letters is what they're looking for as far as your SCAC number. And you just go into the meeting, you provide them that, and you're actually talking with a Amazon employee who's able to verify like you are in fact ready to go. Now, I did that, like I said, like 7 weeks ago for my general liability. Even though they kind of gave me the green light, I still, after what happened to me last year, was a little bit hesitant. I would recommend, I mean, I'm not preaching this, I practice this. I still would take off like a good, at least 3 days after they've told you everything's good. I still kind of find it best practice to take off like 3 additional days just to be sure it takes. How you can tell is you want to keep an eye on that load board. If you log into the load board and you get that screen, you know that there's a problem. And if you see that screen after you have future work booked, you want to do everything you can to try to get in touch with them, because they're going to reject those loads. And if they reject those loads, they're going to count them against your score. So takeaways from today: if you're doing that new authority and all this is new to you and you're setting up that general liability policy, you're getting that auto policy all set up, try your best to get those 2 dates. Try to get them to coincide on the same day. Otherwise, you're just creating a bunch of work for yourself down the road. I'm dealing with that bunch of work right now here today. So be sure and keep that in mind. And when it comes time to renew your stuff, I think Amazon, I mean, they told me they need 2 days to update it. I think they request 5 days. There's no harm in getting that information to them early, but then absolutely be sure and jump on the next office hour through Chime and talk to an actual Amazon employee and say, hey, I submitted my stuff. Here's my SCAC number. Am I good to go? Take full advantage. He's the noisiest dog ever. Take full advantage of every opportunity you have to be sure that you're staying compliant with all their stuff and that you're good to go and do future work. I hope this video serves you well. Appreciate you for watching. Take care.